guys, what's going on? John here, and as you can see, I recently opened an Hour of Devastation booster box from Magic the Gathering. So in this video, I will be building a deck out of only the cards that I received in this booster box and also some basic lands. Let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is decide which colors we want our deck to be. So I thought about it a little, and as you can see, I pulled all three of the Bolus gods, Scorpion God, Locust God, and the Scarab God, and I thought it would be a good idea to use the Locust God. So I'm just going to put the Scarab God and the Scorpion God back into the group of cards I have sleeved. I have these cards sleeved because they are probably my most expensive. Foil Chaos Maw, Masterpiece Boil, Neheb the Eternal, and of course my three gods. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look through my rares and my mythics and look at cards that share the same types as this god. That card will be helpful. Earthshaker Kenra we can use. Swarm Intelligence is keeping on with the theme. Hour of Devastation is always helpful. So I will put in Champion of Wits. Kefnet's Last Word. We have two copies of Hazoret's Undying Fury. Hour of Eternity we have a possibility to throw in there. And I think with this deck we will use a decent amount of land, as a lot of these cards are expensive in mana cost. So I think we will throw in 25 lands. And then also, we cannot use Boil, obviously, because we will be running a deck that does that. Chaos Maw, not the most helpful. However, I do think that Neheb the Eternal could be helpful inside this deck. So I am going to look through these cards and rule out the ones that would not be helpful in building around the Locust God. Alright, so we're back, and I looked through all the cards of the rares you saw earlier. I took out two, both of the Hazoret's Undying Furies. But yes, this is the deck, so I will go through it right now. It is exactly 60 cards. I took down the land count 1 to make room for some other cards. But yes, this deck is 60 cards exactly, 24 lands, 11 of which are basic. And yeah, let's get into the deck. So first up we've got the Locust God, obviously. It's a 4/4 with flying. And whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. And then for 4 mana, we can draw a card and then discard a card. And when it dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Then Neheb the Eternal, 4/6 for 5. With a flipped 3, and at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add 1 red mana to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So now we have the deck itself. So first up we have Hour of Devastation. All creatures lose indestructible until end of turn. Hour of Devastation deals 5 damage to each creature and each non-bolus planeswalker. That is our board wipe for the deck. Now we have Swarm Intelligence for 7. It allows us to copy any instant or sorcery spell, and we may choose new targets for those copies. Kefnet's last word. Gain control of target artifact, creature, or enchantment. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. That's 4 mana. Then we've got our Hour of Eternity for 3 blue and 2 X, and you exile X creature cards from your graveyard. For each of those, you create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. Champion of Wits. When it enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. It has Eternalized for 7. Nimble Obstructionist. Flash, flying, 3/1 for 3, and when you cycle it, counter target activated or triggered ability you do not control. Then we've got our 1 dual-sided card, Refuse to Cooperate. Yeah, it's pretty simple there, just dealing damage to target spell's controller equal to that spell's CMC. Cooperate is Aftermath, obviously, and you copy target instant or sorcery and choose new copies. Then we have Earthshaker Kinra, 2/1 with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature with power less than or equal to Earthshaker Kinra's power can't block this turn. It's also got Eternalize. So now getting into the cards you have not seen yet. We have 2 imaginary threats for 4 creatures target opponent controls attack this turn if able during that player's next untap step. Creatures he or she controls don't untap. And it's also got cycling for 2. We have 3 Unquenchable Thirst for 2 enchant creature. When Unquenchable Thirst enters the battlefield, if you control a desert or there is a desert card in your graveyard, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature does not untap during its controller's untap step. And this deck contains a fair amount of deserts. We have a single Riddle form, because that was the only one I could find in the cards I got. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may have Riddle form become a 3/3 Sphinx creature with flying in addition to its other types until end of turn, and it's also got Scry 1 for 3. We have 4 Unsummons. 1 mana, return target creature to its owner's hand. It is a helpful instant. Getting into our red non-creature spells. 4 Crash Through. Creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Draw a card for 1. 2 Blur of Blades. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Blur of Blades deals 2 damage to that creature's controller for 2 mana. Here's some red creatures. Firebrand Archer. We have 1, 2, 3 of them. Sorry, I didn't count how many. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Firebrand Archer deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's a 2/1 for 2. We have Eternal of Harsh Truths. It's a 1/3 for 3 with Afflict 2, and when it attacks and isn't blocked, I draw a card. 2 Sand Stranglers. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a desert or there's a desert card in your graveyard, you may have Sand Strangler deal 3 damage to target creature, and it is a 3/3 for 4. 2 Bloodwater Entities. It's a 2/2 elemental for 3 with flying and prowess, and when it enters the battlefield, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. Getting into some blue creatures, our last creatures of the deck. Aerial Guide, 4 of them. It's a 2/2 for 3 with flying, and when it attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. So for lands, we have 4 Desert of the Mindful. It enters the battlefield tapped, and I tap it to add 1 to your mana pool, and it's also got cycling for 1 and a blue. We have 4 Desert of the Fervent. It's the same thing, except for red. 2 Ipnu Rivulets. It's a desert, adds 1 wastes, and if I pay a life and tap it, I add 1 blue mana. And I can sacrifice a desert and force a player to put the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. 2 Survivor's Encampments. Tap to add I'm blanking. To add a waste, colorless mana, whatever it is. And I can also tap to add 1 mana if I tap an untapped creature. Our last non-basic land is a Ramyanop Ruins. It's the same thing as Ipnu Rivulet, but red. And then for basic lands, we have 6 mountains and 5 forests. So that is the deck we were able to build. I will be posting it online. I will post in the comments of this video, not the description, because I will probably post the video before I post the deck online. I will be posting in the comments of this video where I have put this deck so you can build it yourself without having to pause the video every 5 seconds while looking at each card and listening to my voice. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you later. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. See ya.